In React Native, there's this concept called mounting. Mounting is important because there are some use hooks that require this mounting effect from React. It simply means that React will create the component and then show it for the first time. It happens whenever you try to open an app, that then the app create the pages and the components for the first time. And then that process is called mounting. But most of the time, you think that, oh, whenever the screen appears, it means it's mounted. But that's not necessarily the case. For example, when you navigate in between the pages, it doesn't mean that the pages will mount. Because if the page was loaded for the first time, that means it is actually mounted. But if the page was already shown for the first time, and then you navigate to another page, let's say that from the home page to the profile page, and then from the profile page, you go back to the home page, that doesn't mean that the home page is mounted again. Because this mounting from React basically means that the component and the pages is loaded for the first time. But because you navigate from the home page to the profile page previously, that means that the home page was previously created for the first time already. And then you navigate from the profile page to the home page. That doesn't mean that the home page is recreated again. Because when you navigate in between the pages, React will keep a memory of what you navigate or what pages you navigate from and what pages you navigate to. So for example, let's say you go from the home page to the profile page. Then the React will keep note, okay, the user went from the homepage to the profile page. And then you go back to the homepage. Then React will take note of, okay, you are going back to the homepage. So it's like one timeline. When you navigate in between the pages, the pages are not destroyed unless you are using a certain navigation feature. If you simply just navigate between the pages, the React will keep a note of, okay, let's say the user went from homepage to profile page. So the top will be homepage. And then at the bottom, there will be the profile page because the user go from the home page to the profile page. Let's say they go to the settings page, then the settings page will be at the bottom. So it is like a timeline. So when the user go back to the profile page, the settings page will be gone. That means that the settings page are mounted, and then the user will go back to the profile page. That doesn't mean that the profile page was recreated. It just means that the page is just shown again. So this process means that the profile page was not unmounted and then mounted again. Mounted basically means that you create another layer of navigation to the overall user flow or user interactions. So going from home page to the profile page, this means that the profile page was mounted. And then going from the profile page to the settings page, this means that the settings page was mounted. And then going back to the profile page, that doesn't mean that profile page was mounted because it doesn't add a new layer to the navigation. And then the settings page will be unmounted because it disappeared. And then when the user go back to the settings page again, this means that the settings is mounted again because it adds another layer to the user navigation. But if the user replace the current navigation with another page, this means that the current page will be disappeared and then be replaced with the new navigation. This means that the previous page was destroyed and the previous page was unmounted, and then the new page is mounted again. And then if you replace back the profile page with the home page, this means that the home page is mounted again because the home page appeared in the whole bunch of user navigation. So let's say when the app replaces the user from the home page to the profile page, then the home page is unmounted, and then the new page or the profile page is mounted to replace the home page. And then when you replace the profile page with the home page, when you go back to it, this means that the profile page is unmounted because it disappeared from the whole bunch of user branch interaction, and then it get replaced with the home page. This means that the home page is mounted. So unmounting or mounting is basically means that the page appears in the user interaction branch. There are a few ways to unmount or destroy the page in React Native. The first one was the one that I mentioned earlier where you replace the page when doing navigation. The second one is when the app is restarted, which means that if you close the app fully on your phone, like close fully, swiping up the page away, and then you reopen the app again, this means that the app is restarted and then the whole page or the home page or whatever your first page is mounted again. The next way is to add a certain props that will unmount when you navigate out of the page. So for example, the stack component, there's a prop that says the unmount on blur, and then you can set it to true, which will then unmount the page when you navigate out of it. So this whole concept is important for a certain use hooks, for example use effect versus use focus effect, which is important that I will talk about in the next video. So for example, I have this example where I have a home screen and a profile screen. Where the home screen, there's a button that navigates the user to the profile page. In the profile page, there's a use effect. Use effect, in summary, basically means that you are activating the things inside of it whenever the screen mounts for the first time, or whenever the screen is created for the first time. So in this example, in the use effect, I put console.log profile mounted to show you an example. And then below it is a return, where the return basically means that you are doing a cleanup whenever the screen unmounts. So this will show you that whenever the profile page is mounted, then the console will show. So whenever I open the app, there's nothing, and then when I navigate to the profile page, then the console will show that, okay, profile mounted. So this means that React basically created a new layer in the profile navigation when the user navigates from the home page to the profile page. So that's why the use effect ran, because use effect basically be activated whenever the screen mounted, or whenever the screen is created for the first time. So the console will log profile mounted. And then when you go back to the home screen, nothing happens. Because when you go back to the home page, you are just deleting the previous page and then you are going back to the page that's already navigated to. Then the screen will then mount again and again whenever you go back to the profile page. So mounting basically means whenever the component or the page is created for the first time in the user navigation branch. So yeah, this is how mounting works. Anyways, that's my opinion. Bye.